And what's going on, guys? We are back with another episode of the Couch Conversations, and I am joined here by two of the most famous people here on the channel, ARES Gaming Productions and PT Monster.
What's up?
He has come back to grace us with his presence, and he's somehow is surviving PT school, and my heart goes out to him. Guys, what the hell is Bethesda doing?
Bethesda is fucking shit up. That's what they're doing.
All right, since I'm not a Doom player, someone explain to me what's going on.
And we do need to change that about you not playing Doom, by the way.
Yeah, I know. We'll get to that.
But anyways, I was looking online yesterday because I saw where the Doom soundtrack had been released. And I was like, okay, great. Because I knew that the collector's edition, if you had bought that, which was $200, by the way, but you got a bunch of stuff offered with it, and I got the deluxe edition, which was only $99. But I looked it up and saw these comments about how Mick Gordon was apparently leaving. And I was like, what? Hold on just a second. And there's multiple news outlets saying the same thing. And I'll pull them up right here because I've got it. This comes from PC Gamer. Their website. It says Doom Eternal's official soundtrack wasn't mixed by its composer, and you can tell. So Doom Eternal is, of course, done by Mick Gordon. He done the soundtrack for Doom Eternal and for Doom 2016.
Yep.
And whenever it officially came out, as far as the soundtrack yesterday, they took what was ripped off of the game and put on YouTube and compared it to his soundtrack, and it sounded very, very different. And they looked at like the wavelengths. People that understand music a lot better than I do, they were able to look at the wavelengths and see that his mixes were there was a lot more wavelengths to it as compared to the ones that were not mixed by him originally. So whenever it goes down to this guy eventually messaged Mick Gordon and was like, okay, is a far more talented audio engineer than me. It's not even close, and that's what it makes this especially frustrating. I expect much better from him. Again, the music itself is phenomenal, but this mix on the official soundtrack is frankly terrible. And Mick Gordon responded to this and said, I didn't mix those and wouldn't have done that. You'll be able to spot the small handful of tracks I mixed, such as Meat Hook, Command and Control, etc. And from this, he said he doesn't sound very impressed, obviously. But he said, this comes from Gordon himself. I take a lot of pride in my work. It's all I do. It's all I have, and I pour my heart and soul into it. And from there, he said he's still trying to understand the situation himself, and he had no further comments on what was said. So it just looks like that Bethesda's like, all right, we're just going to mix it, do whatever we can with it.
Yeah, and I think it was
taking too long.
There's another comment that was said too. Yeah.
It was another one they kind of focused on from the Angry Joe show, and they with him, Alex, and other Joe, and it was like some kind of comment where they had somebody had asked if he was going to work on future Doom games.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah,
he basically said, "Don't know if we were working together, in the future."
Oh yeah, that was somebody that actually like direct messaged him on Instagram. I think this is coming from Twitter, but I did see the Angry Joe review of it too, and it frustrates me because that's the best thing about the original Doom 2016 soundtrack. Is just the game was the soundtrack.
Well, because like a little bit brief history on what Mick Gordon has actually done. So he kind of got a lot of fame and notoriety for doing, even before the Doom soundtracks, he got credited with doing a bunch of stuff like Killer Instinct, the first 2 seasons.
Oh yeah, okay.
Mick Gordon was he stopped after the second season. I think just because of like time constraints, and he was probably already working on some other stuff at the time, which is obvious. If you go back and play the Wolfenstein games, he does the soundtracks for the Wolfenstein games that Bethesda does too, and so obviously you can tell how fucking talented he is. I mean, he's probably one of the greatest composers of our generation, at least. Like how people back in the 2000s kind of with Marty O'Donnell and his score with the Halo series, how people can't get enough of the Halo games because of what a fucking good job Marty did with those scores, and with just all the Halo games in general. Even Destiny has some really amazing soundtrack stuff, and of course the same thing kind of happened with Marty with a lot of people don't remember this from the Destiny days, how he basically had put all this work into Destiny 1 and 2 soundtrack, and they screwed him over basically by like some type of thing in his contract where he wasn't going to get royalties or something like that for a set amount of pieces that he wrote for the game, and he took him to court and I think won, and as he should have from what they did to him.
Isn't that just some shit? Like literally, just think about like this. Okay, this is a stretch of a comparison, but fuck this freaking pandemic, because I was working on my damn thesis, spent a lot of fucking time, hours upon hours, revisions non-stop. Okay, I'm not trying to compare what I'm doing to like the legendary work of this guy at all. I'm just trying to make like a slight comparison that like in the research world, how frustrating it is to like say, hey, we're ready to do it, here's my product. Oh wait, now we're going to take your product and turn it into a review paper instead of actual research.
Yeah.
It is so frustrating, and I can only imagine, because let's just be honest. The three of us, we like to hang out all the time, and when we can't hang out, we go out drive and listen to music and stuff. Music makes you feel good. It makes you feel emotions. It heightens your senses. There's a lot of research that goes to show it's good for your brain. There's a lot of good things about music. And then when someone's creating...
They encourage parents to make their kids listen to music when they're younger to like help them, their brain function, and that's why you used to hear a lot of, babies' scores would, their test scores would increase when they went into school if they were listening to something like classical music, like Beethoven, Mozart, and things like that. So
yeah, but the thing about this, think about the person that made the music.
Yeah.
And then his baby that he spent so... Making music like that doesn't just take one day. Yeah. It takes a long time.
It takes a lot of time. I know Marty worked on the Halo score for, months on end. And I'm sure the same was with Mick, because I'm sure the process is easier for him, because Marty kind of worked in a time period where, the music wasn't really the most special part about the game. Let's be honest. People didn't play games for the music back in the day. They played it for the gameplay. Right. And the music was just kind of an extra thing to add a little bit of the atmosphere to it. And with Doom, I mean, you're getting kind of the best of both worlds. You're getting the amazing kind of thing that's... The music is integrated into the gameplay.
There is not one review that I've seen of like the old Doom and the newer Dooms that's come out since like 2016 that do not mention the music.
Yeah,
I'm maybe talking about like the old ones, like from back in the day.
Not a damn one. Yeah, I mean, there's like, and I mean even like the Halo, like if you go back and watch the original Halo 2, Halo 3 stuff, they do the same thing. They basically just talk about how well Marty composed it and how it adds something to the atmosphere. But the reason people like this stuff is that there's a certain amount of mysticism that's involved around music in general. And it's no different with video games. I can list off plenty of things that have just got me like in the mood or really hyped or really sad.
Sure.
Off of various games that I've played, and like even like Dissidia, one of the things that I have on my channel. Like a certain song comes on like during Dissidia, when you're in a fight, it makes you feel like you are actually like in a like no holds bar like RPG like Super Smash Bros. Showdown. Even Super Smash Bros. Let's talk about that. Those guys who do the remixes for all the Smash Bros. Music that's in there, there's 28 hours of music in
that
Smash.
Is actually ridiculous.
If you play it from front to back, and that's including the fanfare at the end of the matches. It includes all that. Which, I mean, could you imagine the same thing happened to those guys, where they're like, your remixes are cool, but for our website, our official website, and the track that goes along with the game, we're gonna get rid of it. We're not gonna have it in there.
It's like I just don't get how, especially with the climate that Bethesda finds themselves in today, they don't need another controversy.
No, they don't. Especially since Eternal is already a fantastic game. It's the gameplay's there, the music's there. You know, they got extra stuff, like extra content for the game. They've got all this stuff that makes the game actually really good and has a lot of like replay value to it. And Dune 2016 has the same damn thing, and it's just amazing to me. It's befuddling that the entire thing about this is almost. It's almost like you just got through eating some really good chocolate cake. You're like, fuck. Like, man, this chocolate cake kicks ass. And you just want more of the chocolate cake. And then the person that made it was like, by the way, it's not actually chocolate. It's a substitute that increases your heart rate by about 200 beats per minute. You're like, why the fuck would you do that? Why would you ever do that? And they're just like, I don't know, I thought it'd be a good idea at the time.
Yeah,
no, it's a terrible fucking idea.
It's just to take your own work. Yeah, go on.
It's just crazy to me to think that there's about 59 songs that's going to come out with the whole album that comes along with Doom Eternal. Yeah. And there's only 10 songs that has been mixed by Mick Gordon himself. Yeah. 10.
Yeah.
You see, the one thing I think about is in his contract. What did his contract entail? Like, was there other positions? Now, this is just, I'm not siding with Bethesda at all, but like, that's not that. Just hear me out.
Yeah, but
because
like what part of his contract actually had creative control?
What part of his contract did it deem that he would have complete creative control over it? And were there other like positions on this project that gave other people like control over certain areas of music? Now, I'm just going to say one thing. If Evan made a song, if Evan made like 10 songs and he like, fixed them all the way he wanted to for about 3 of them, let's say 2 of them. And then Bethesda comes to me and says, hey, Jake, look, you're a totally different person. You're the one who didn't make the music. You're in charge of like editing it the right way. That doesn't make sense because I didn't make the fucking music.
I mean, I don't like in the defense of the guy who probably mixed it. I don't envy that guy's task because he probably got handed all this shit and went, "Oh fuck, how am I gonna do this shit?"
Well, the other issues that they were talking about was
in the studio.
The other issues they were talking about was like some of the cutoff points of the music were off. Some of the I think was it something about synthesizer was in it, and like he didn't want the synthesizer in it. I can't remember.
No, the original Doom was only supposed to have synth. There was not supposed to be any guitar. They literally sent him the dossier, whatever it was, for what he wanted the music to be, or the guys at Software did before Bethesda got involved, and they were like, yeah, we really like synths, no guitars, and we want something that's nobody's ever heard before. And so he's basically he does an hour-long presentation or a 2-hour-long presentation on this. It's a really good video if you have time to go watch. I know me and PT did, but he basically walks through his process, the entire process of him making this album. And that's why a lot of people made jokes on YouTube. If you go look at the comment section on any of his music, it's like, oh, Mick Gordon's album came with a free game. Like it's yeah, kind of, but like.
Oh, okay. I think I have an idea why they did it then. I think it's because Angry Joe actually. I think he made this point on the news show they have. I feel like what it was is if you have just heavy guitar through an entire game. Now, just hold on. I know what the argument to this is, and I completely agree with the argument. It's like, but we don't want it to have the same sound and the same like guitar, just that one guitar through the entire game. But pause. Doom is not like a Final Fantasy game where you having the. You don't have like a symphony of an orchestra playing, ARES theme or anything like that in the background. It's a heavy metal rock, like pulse pounding game.
Crunch, balls to the wall, action, shooting. You're literally shooting the things that come from hell. It's the entire purpose of this game. And it's just like people know when they hear something that sounds good. That's why his soundtrack is universally praised because it fits so well with the universe that they created with the Doom game.
You're not trying to. I guess the best example I can make is
even then. And if you actually play the game, it's not all guitar in your face. There are some times the game slows down. There's, especially in the new one. The new 2016 did not have that many moments. It had like a couple where you could hear kind of the synth and like the build up in the background for just like, there's no guitars. It's literally just synth build up. And then when you pop into the action, then the guitarists come in. So it's not like there's just guitar in your face the entire time. I think even that would actually have definitely been annoying, and I think Mick knows that. And that's why he does add that kind of subtlety to the album. And he does it even more with Eternal, where the game is actually slows down a lot more. That was one of the criticisms that people had of the game, is that the game actually is slow.
Okay, so that makes more sense to me, since I've not played it. Okay.
Yeah. Because if you have played the game, once you get to Urdak, which is like the level where you finally are facing off against, kind of like the big bad before you fight the Icon of Sin.
Like Barons of Hell and stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah, before you fight the Icon of Sin, you go to Urdak and you fight the Makers, and the Makers are basically the angels that are in this story. They're the ones that they're basically what we would call angels in Christianity.
They're the seraphim.
Oh, okay. I remember hearing some. Again, this is between y'all two, because like I've never played this, so I'm the oddball out.
They basically have like the hierarchies. Like there's the very lower level, which is of course like right at the very bottom of Satan. Then you have like kind of like Icon of Sin, who is basically a gatekeeper for hell. He's what is, and even in the original, which they actually upgraded it from the original, because the original Icon of Sin is just like a giant wall where you have to shoot it a bunch of times and he dies.
That's right. That's in the original game, right?
Icon of
Sin. Yes. I kind of know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's in the second one. Which, by the way, you can go back and play the original 1 and 2 in Doom Eternal, which is pretty cool.
Yes, you can.
But like. So there's that, and then you have the Praetors, or the Praetor guards, who are basically like who are tasked with defeating the forces of hell from heaven or from the angels. Then you just have the angels, who are there kind of as like a kind of waiting their turn, so to speak, in case hell ever gets out of control, that they can finally like step in, because they can't actually step in until some kind of code is broken. I forgot what the actual thing of it is, but there's supposed to be some type of code that has to be broken for them to actually interfere, and that causes Armageddon, essentially.
I think it's the Night Sentinel code that you break, and that's whenever everybody in Urdak eventually turns on you. So that's why the Seraphim are involved, or the Makers, or whatever. But once you get to that area in the game, it slows down, and it's almost like a church choir esque type of tone with it. So it's not. You don't hear a guitar that entire time that you're in Urdak.
Which honestly kind of makes sense.
It's very beautiful, and it's like choir type of musicality, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But that
even then, he does a song that's like a heavy metal choir. There's a song called Gladiator. That he does, and it's a heavy metal choir. Like it's
that's pretty OP.
Nasty.
That's pretty OP.
And like. When we get off the air, because I don't want to get this thing copywritten, but I'll play a little bit of it. But
I probably wouldn't play any, because we will definitely get copyrighted. So
I'll say it for later. But it's definitely something. But yeah, it's like
definitely go look it up.
But back to what we were saying just about Mick in general, is that just knowing like how he's kind of ascended in the video game world as this like kind of now legendary composer of music. And then for him having the same thing pretty much happened to him that happened to Marty O'Donnell is just like, when will these companies fucking learn? It's just so goddamn stupid.
It's just so stupid, because I mean, this man, there's no telling how long he worked on this, like he was saying earlier. And this is a guy that puts in the craziest things for his music. Like, he had a synthesizer to where he put a chainsaw and a lawnmower into his music. And it turned out and made this sound that was put in BFG Division. That shows you the creativity of this man. And you're going to limit his creativity.
He used like old Russian synthesizer things from like the 80s.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that. Yeah.
It's just like you can't find them.
There's one thing we all have to remember, and there was a day where Bethesda was not doing things like this. You know, go to the Oblivion soundtrack. Go to Fallout 3 soundtrack, Fallout 4 soundtrack, go to Skyrim soundtrack.
Yeah.
You never heard any controversy about things like that because at that time they were kind of like the underdogs of the game industry, and they kind of rose to the occasion. They had some really big flops of games back in the early days with the old Elder Scrolls games. God, they were terrible, in my opinion. But what you are seeing is just like the euphemism with heaven and hell with this game. You have Adam and Eve here, and you have Bethesda who bit the golden apple in the Garden of Eden,
and good and evil, whatever it is. And then they had a walking snake in the office telling them exactly what to do.
But just think about it. Just think about how much like crap they've gone through in these past just few years. Fallout 4 was a good game. Their DLCs were absolute garbage. Every single one of them was not fun. It was I can't stand the whole ambiguous is this right or wrong thing when it doesn't even warrant it. Just saying. That's just me.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. But Fallout 4 base game was a good game.
Yeah.
It was a good game. What I'm trying to say is after Fallout 4, and then when they introduced the Creation Club, then they tried to throw Fallout 76 in our faces, then up to the point where they just released Fallout 76 Wastelanders, that DLC was not going to exist. I'm just telling you that right now. There is no way in hell that was actually going to be a DLC that would have actually existed had like all the people that played the game actually loved Fallout 76 and what it was doing. It wouldn't have existed. And now on freaking E3 they're like, oh my god, coming this summer, NPCs.
Yeah,
oh my god, are you kidding me? NPC in a game?
They can't.
No way.
They can't figure out what the shit they want to do because they like. I think the total cost right now for the entire Fallout 76, if you want everything in the game, this is if you got the collector's edition, which is still the $200 version. If you got that, then you're paying the Fallout first, which is $100. So that's $300 right there.
Is that still even a thing?
I think so.
Because I think the Fallout Wastelanders is actually it was free actually, which again it's super wrong for them to charge full price for that game. It's still wrong. They should not, and that may just be PSN doing that because PSN always has outrageous prices that do not actually match the game market of what it's actually worth, which is stupid and annoying. Which is where I kind of want to turn our attention to the PSN thing that we ran into with oh my god. Okay,
so Sid Meier's Civilization 6. I got this thing the other day, and me and Dive and trying to play this thing.
We had a great Let's Play online that we were thinking about doing.
So we were trying to get that going. And even after I linked the 2K account, I've got my 2K account linked to this thing. And we've been already trying to do the multiplayer on this, but apparently, and it's not just us, if you actually go and look at their damn Twitter, they're saying they're trying to come up with a fix for this.
That was in November, by the way.
Yeah. They have been trying to do this apparently for months, and they have not responded to anybody on Twitter. I looked at their website, they haven't responded to anything on it. They have literally let this game to die in a multiplayer. And,
it's
I don't know why.
So what we're talking about is that so when you play Civilization 6, it is a fantastic game. And if I could get PT to play it, maybe Blob on here, that would be hilariously awesome. If we could do that, it's just so much fun. Like I actually got it first on the computer, and once you start a Civilization, you literally cannot stop till it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. It's that addictive. Anywho, but so I was like, oh my god, it's on PS4 now. That's awesome. So me and ARES talking about getting it, and I got it, and I was playing single player. I have a few videos on my channel about it. And then I'm like, okay, now it's time to test out and see how multiplayer works out. You can't even connect to a private server or a public server. There's only certain public servers you can connect to that already have people playing it that it actually works for them. And if you look at those servers, there's only like 4 games playing at a time. 4!
Oh my gosh.
4! And the game just came out on PS4. It's ridiculous. I did research on it. cannot find any fix to it. I have restarted the router, everything, and then someone's saying it has something to do with like your ISP. And I think that's absolute garbage because there's so many other games that everyone plays together all the time that they use a variety of different ISPs. So as of right now, multiplayer is Angry Joe style broken. It is broken. You can't play it. You can't play anything with multiplayer. You can play like, you know, if your buddies are with you in the same place, yeah, you can play like that, which is cool. But here's the funny thing: we're in a damn pandemic. We're not going to be doing that.
What about this quarantine? How are we going to play then?
I mean, like, what the fuck? I mean, it's just like the entire multiplayer server is just like non-existent. It's actually non-existent. You cannot get into it. It is impossible.
You can't connect. It says failed connection every time you try to play it, and it literally just boggles. I can't even think straight how upset that makes me.
We were trying to connect to it last night, having a metaphysical crisis because we literally couldn't do anything.
How is no one else talking about this?
Yeah.
Where is Angry Joe talking about this? This is a game that you pay full price. Granted, it was on a sale. But
if it wasn't on sale, you'd be dishing out $60 for a game whose multiplayer is actually broken. It's not fixed.
And I would argue that like multiplayer is like the other half of the game.
Yeah.
It's the other half. That's why people play it, because it's so much fun to like team up and build civilizations together. And if one civilization wants to pick on you, but okay, we're gonna form the Axis powers over here and conquer and be a warmonger nations.
Shit on your whole entire kingdom.
I mean, I was showing ARES, like, you know, I basically become a. By the way, I don't know if you guys know, but Albert Einstein was actually a Spartan. He was a Spartan heritage. So was Picasso. All that good stuff. It's such a funny game, but like it is absolutely ridiculous that like they will sell this thing and half the product is broken. And I've already sent a request in 2K, and I said, fix this crap or give me a refund, because I wanted my money back. I'm not going to play this game just for single player where I can do that on my computer. I got this so I can play with my buddies. And everyone's been having this problem. Some people, the problem has been fixed, but I don't. The problem should not be fixed for a couple people. It should be fixed for all people. So that is just absolutely ridiculous. 2K, shame on you for releasing a product that was not. I mean, the game's already finished. All I had to do was just fix it to where like it can work on a PlayStation and test your stupid game for it to work. That's my biggest. Okay, right there, right freaking there. I need to talk about this. Are they hiring for Bethesda, for all these game companies that have just really shat the bed? Are they hiring just ass kissers for beta testers?
Yeah.
Are they adding like, I love this game, it's so good? I can give you a
one-word answer right now. Yes. They are actually like
they knew this game wasn't ready.
Matter all over the pillow. They literally shit the bed.
They knew it wasn't ready. I am no longer believing that they're just like, oh, the game's perfect. They don't even test it anymore. I guarantee you, they're just like the ESRB that doesn't even actually review games.
Yeah.
They say, hey, send us a video. PT, do you know about that?
About which part?
The ESRB, how they review games.
How do they review games?
Let me tell you what. This is a whole controversy that we have talked about previously, and I just had to mention it because they actually made an alteration. I don't know if you saw the latest video, ARES, but they actually talked about it on Angry Joe Show. Here's how they review games. Okay, here's my biggest question. PT, do you think they actually played the entire game?
No, there's no way. Because there's so many different things that can be broken in a game, and they not figure it out until way later.
Okay, fine. Do you think they played a little bit? Just so they get a gist of the game.
I would think they would play it a little bit, but it sounds like they don't.
No.
Incorrect, madam.
Incorrect. Let me tell you what they do. They say, hey, send me a short video of all the worst things that's in the game, and we'll rate it on that.
Wow. That's pretty stupid.
They rate video games. Okay. And the biggest reason why we got upset... For kids. That's why I like the new 2K game that came out, the NBA 2K16, whatever it was, or 18, whatever it was. Had gambling simulators on it.
Yeah, 2K.
And they
NBA
sold it
2K
to
2020.
kids. And
Yeah.
the ESRB literally could not even defend their own reasoning why they deemed it E for every, or T, I can't remember, I think it was T for teen, they rated it. But no, if it has gambling, if you look at their website, if it has any sort of gambling simulation in it, it has to be rated M.
Yeah.
But guess what?
Okay.
It's not rated M. And then they start arguing, and like they didn't say anything for a long time. They were quiet. And no
Should
one
be
said
quiet for
anything.
something like that.
They didn't say anything, but like there's pachinko machines, there's like just complete like gambling video games.
Dude.
Like go to a
EA's
casino, it's there.
EA's response to this was golden too. They got called in front of a congressional hearing in the UK, I believe. It was
Yeah.
in the UK or Australia.
Ah.
And the woman that was defending it said that it wasn't, loot box was a derogatory term, and that the correct term to use for it
Freaking-
was surprise mechanics.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
I did hear about that. I did hear about
Oh,
that.
I
part.
forgot about
What
that.
a bunch of PR ass shit.
It was ridiculous
Could
because
not.
because there are so many kids. Okay, I'm just going to say it right now. Everyone's like, well, you know, we should be protecting our kids. Yes, you should be protecting your kids. And like, and people be like, oh, it's up to the parents. Honestly, this is not on the parents anymore.
No, it's
How are
completely not,
parents
because
supposed to know that like, there's actual gambling simulators on it?
You could make. I can understand the argument from their legal perspective, because in their past games that they've released, it's always been a purchasing power. It is always up to whoever is actually using their credit card, whoever has their information put on their PS4, PS3, about what they want to actually spend their money on. That is their choice. Anytime you go to the PS Store, like no one's being like, get this gambling simulator. Yeah. Like no one's doing that.
No.
In this game, the issue with this game was that it was built into the game. There is no way around it. If you go into a certain mode, you will be forced to do it.
It's not even. It's that, and plus, they literally hired NBA players to react and play the
market it,
game and
yes.
market this gambling to kids because they got paid to do it.
Yeah.
It is. Just look up the trailers for it. It's all over the place.
Criminal.
It is absolutely criminal, and it's horrendous because kids. They will grow up playing these things and get addicted to these like gambling simulators, and that affects people later in life. Now, I'm not gonna say if you're an old man, not old man, but if you're like an older adult and you can play rated M games, you're over 18. If you're gonna be stupid and make those decisions and play sports games, just saying, people who are sports gamers are idiots. I'm just gonna throw it out there.
At my brother and everybody else.
Anyone who
it's just
says, I mean, I had people back in our old fraternity, they were saying, yeah, the original Battlefront was actually really good. I don't know why people keep crapping on it. Because you're an idiot and you don't know what a good game is. Anywho, moving on.
You've been poisoned. Your mind has been emptied from
Because no
goodness.
one gets
And
what content is. No one. Anywho, I'm not trying to rage on that anymore. We've already talked about that in the past. But that is so. ESRB actually updated their little tags on their games, and it says may contain. Oh my God, what was it?
may contain like suggestive themes or sexual
No.
violence or something like that. So
No,
they have like different ones.
no,
that
it's
they
a
put
new
on there.
one below that. It's a ESRB updated.
Oh, it's like mild use of gambling or something like that. Yeah.
Something like that says like surprise mechanics or something along those lines.
Mild use of surprise mechanics. Yeah.
May contain purchase transaction. I can't remember what it says, but it's along those lines. Which is
It's
granted,
just another stupid thing to try and
it's
hide
a
what they're actually
step
doing.
in the right direction. I will say it is a step. I would say it's a crawl to the right, direction. But the rating system is broken. It's broken. It just does not work because they are literally going back on what they're saying. Because if it has those type of things in it, it should not. It should not. It should not be given to people. Who are kids. And you can make that argument for Fortnite. The loot boxes and all that crap. I'm not going to get into this. It's going to be a whole conversation that I don't feel like getting into. But we just want to talk about that because 2K, shame on you for releasing a game on new consoles that is actually a really good game. I love playing on single player. That is just not ready for multiplayer, and you've done nothing.
So here's I just looked at the first little article that came up. It's a website called The Verge,
Okay, yeah.
The ESRB introduces a new label to indicate that the game has loot boxes. It's an additional descriptor to the in-game purchases label introduced in 2018. So it was already introduced in 2018 for what they were, I guess, the in-game purchases icon that they actually have for the ESRB. So the ESRB announced a new label today. I think this article was written. This is 2020, so this is fairly new. This
is very recent. Yeah.
Yeah. So this new interactive element, in-game purchases, includes random items will be assigned to any game that contains in-game offers to purchase digital goods or premiums with real-world currency or with virtual coins or other forms of in-game currency that can be purchased with real-world currency, which player doesn't know prior to purchase the specific digital goods or premiums they will be receiving, according to the ESRB. The label will apply to loot boxes, gacha games, items, and card packs, prize wheels, treasure chests, all that sort of shit. And so they originally introduced it 2018, but that label was broad enough that could be applied to any game that offered any sort of buyable digital good, including non-randomized items like subscriptions, season passes, or upgrades to disable ads. So these guys knew what they were doing since 2018. They knew this shit was going on. And so they, of course they came under heavy criticism. So they basically just included this as a scapegoat way of kind of a little bit, not a little bit, misleading the public and when they purchase their games and saying, oh, there are some in-game purchases here. But of course, you don't know what the actual price of the in-game purchases probably are until you go to the PS store or you actually buy the game and you're going into it and you see, oh, it's a $20 season pass. Why not throw my shit in there?
It's
and
very
then
misleading.
What they're gonna do with that is they're probably going to have, oh, you already bought our season pass? Well, guess what? You get some free loot boxes. Oh, cool. What do I get in those loot boxes? Fuck if we know. But what you could do.
See, I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. That's crap. I think that if you're going to do, I am completely anti-loot box. I have made my stance on it. I don't think it's fair. If you want to make a video game that's just prioritized just to that, and it made like a gambling type video game, and there's like a whole thing to it, interesting. But I think that if it's tied to any sort of multiplayer game that involves kids, or anything along those lines, I think it needs to be gone because it is not fair to sell a product with a percentile chance that you may or may not get what you want.
Yeah.
It is absolutely wrong, and it divides player bases. It makes people not want to play these games just out of principle, and I completely agree.
And even with the loot boxes, I mean, like, you used to be able to, what they used to do with loot boxes was that you would get, if you had like a certain amount of like in-game currency, or if you paid a certain amount of money in real-world money, that you would get a guaranteed item. It would actually show you what the content that you were going to get is. And so in that aspect, even then, some of the loot boxes, maybe way back in the day, we're talking 2013, 2014 loot boxes when they were still being introduced, would still give you an idea. It would still give you the first premise on what you should why you should spend it on this, because you're going to get this, a guaranteed item that nobody else in the game has. So if you want to pay a little bit extra to get that guaranteed item, then you can do that. And even then, some of the games would still allow you to still earn it in the game. It's just extremely difficult, and they have it behind a paywall for a reason. But
how about you just have mechanics in a game where you okay, sorry, this may be controversial, where you work to get cool stuff. Wait, what?
What Doom is doing.
What?
Dude, get in the stream right now. Get the fuck out of here.
No, I'm gonna. Sorry, guys. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Been Professor Die Hard, and also go fuck off. But no.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm in a complete agreement. I grew up in the era where you still had cheat codes, and that was tons of fun for people who played like Grand Theft Auto, for people who did. Even one of my favorite fighting games back in the old days, Soul Calibur, had them where you could cheese the game with Soul Calibur.
Dude, the new remaster of Modern Warfare 2 just came out with a lot of great new content to it that like has cheats in it, that you can different new stuff in the game, and it's only $20.
Yeah,
it's only $20.
Yeah. It's so strange because but I mean again, like we grew up in a different era of gaming where you actually did have to kind of like do your unlock stuff. You had to like play the game, earn the stuff, unlock it. There's a more infamous example of that from Halo 5, what they used to do from Halo 5 compared to Halo 3, which is the Hayabusa gear, where you like had to do like a certain amount of things in Halo 3 to get the Hayabusa gear. And people, when you got it, people were like, "Oh wow, that guy earned that because he did something in the game that allowed him to get that."
Some of the hardest games ever made, by the way. But yeah, it's just
then Halo 5 was introduced their loot packs and what you could actually get in those, and it was again completely fucking random. You have no clue what you're getting, and you just had to hope and pray that you got enough points to just randomly press X and spend all of your currency into what is essentially still a gaming simulator.
Here's what makes me even more upset. And there's this. I used to be part of my Z Dog. He used to be a part of a clan that he made. It was a Dog Nation for Destiny 2, and I actually got Destiny 2 just because like I wanted to play with them and I wanted to kind of be a part of that. And like I had a good time at first, and I realized, oh, it's just like Destiny 1. And anyone who says the game's better now than it was before when it came out, screw off. I'm so tired of that excuse. I'm so tired of that excuse of let's not have a good game at the beginning. Let's have a great game 2 years later. That's a terrible excuse. Crap, I forgot what I was talking about. Dang it! I hate when that happens.
We're
Shoot.
talking about loot boxes, but I think we can kind of steer away from.
That's
that
fine.
Because I think we can. I think once another egregious occurrence of it pops back up, that I think we can have.
Oh, I remember what I was talking about. I think the worst people that continue to prolong this terrible, business transaction when people, doing the loot box and stuff. I think it's the stock investors. I think it's people who actually buy stock into a company like EA, and then when stock goes down, more people come in and buy more stock. And I think that it's because they continue to get more money. They can continue what they're doing because EA is probably one of the biggest, most hated company in the world, but also one of the biggest gaming ones.
Hot on their coattails, honestly, at this point.
Well, EA's been along has made. Oh my God, EA has a track record of making like some of the best games of all time back in the day. And what makes me sad is they have a higher pedigree in the past than Bethesda did. But you're right, Bethesda is also becoming pretty much hated in the gaming community. And here's another thing that I need to say that whoever watches this or if anyone doesn't, it's not a big deal. But there's this one philosophy that people seriously need to stop forgetting about. It is good when a company does good things, but it does not excuse the horrible business practices they have done multiple times, repetitively, non-stop in the past. But then they say, hey, let's do one good thing so we can get people back on our sides. And then people flock back to them and they're like, Jesus Christ. It makes me so mad when I see, hey, Fallout 6 is trying to do better. It's fine. Guys, remember what they literally did to the game. It's good that they're trying to make it a better game. I'm not hating them for that. I just don't think it's fair to say, okay, well, now they're back on the right path. No. They have a huge duty to us to work their butts off to prove to us that they are looking out for our best intentions. EA, I have no doubt in my mind that they have completely lost trust with the gaming community. For all the games they released, the WWE trash game that came out that was horribly glitched. God. It was terrible. They released it still.
Fallout 76 is bad. That release was massive.
It was horrible. It was sent to like a third party company that just did not do good with it at all. And they're not even going to do it. Yeah.
I've never seen a game that's that bad. Never.
Yeah.
Other than I don't know if y'all have ever seen the memery that is Big Rigs Off-Road Racing. Have y'all ever heard of that?
I swear that was intentionally made to be garbage. I swear it was intended.
Gosh. It's that bad. It's
I think there's a difference between intentionally making a bad game there's you have that one and you're trying to make a great game and it's a bad game and you sell it like it's a great game. Yeah. And that's what No Man's Sky was. That's what Fallout 76 was. Some argue other games too. But you know what? I just it just blows my mind. These game companies know what they're doing, and they continue to make these poor decisions to release video games. That's why right now, CD Projekt Red, what actually breaks my heart is that what's the famous quote from Batman? You either die a hero
you
or
die
live
a
long
hero
enough
or like
to see yourself become the villain. That is so unbelievably true because that happened to Bethesda. And I'm worried that's one day going to happen to CD Projekt Red. And
Yeah, 'cause right now, I mean, they're the last line of defense. All it seems like.
I mean, BioWare is finally not
protecting us from waves of bullshit like that.
I will say this: BioWare is no longer a part of Activision. So there could be a saving grace in that, knowing that BioWare is like, they're working on a Mass Effect and a new Dragon Age game right now. I actually have a lot of faith knowing that Activision's out of the picture now, that they can actually come back. Because I blame most of BioWare's faults for Activision. Not Anthem, though. That was all on BioWare. Yeah. But I do think that without the Activision riding their coattails and corporate commander telling you to, let's microtransactionize our freaking gamers at every point and let's make terrible games. I think that there's a hope that they can come back.
Yes, microtransactions.
Like the.
Oh my god! Like I will say, I think Dragon Age Inquisition was still a pretty good game. I actually really liked Dragon Age Inquisition. I didn't have any problems with it at all. I think you should, if anyone wants to get a good Dragon Age game, go get that game because it's really cool. Because you can actually change how the story is by going online and just kind of picking between the different choices in the first two games, and it can affect how the last game plays, Dragon Age Inquisition, and it's actually really awesome that you can do that. If you want to just have a terrible world start where the world is broken and in chaos, you can literally do that. It's just funny. But anyway, let's move on to our last topic. As long as does anyone else have anything else to say about the other stuff? Okay, so I'll move on. Star Wars. I have been Mike Zero, that's his name, I think, has been sharing a lot of great Star Wars news coming in and out, and they are completely retconning the Skywalkers. They're retconning Luke Skywalker. They're actually retconning the Rise of Skywalker. They've also released here's a video that what the actual ending with Anakin Skywalker would have been. Because Anakin Skywalker actually had a lot of awesome scenes in this last movie, which he should have, because literally Kylo Ren's existence is to be like his freaking granddad. But you never see his granddad. How is that? Yeah. Anywho, but right now, I don't really have a lot of solid information on it right now. But apparently George Lucas is working really hard with revitalizing the Star Wars license, and I have a lot of hope, and I think that if you look at all the actors who were in The Rise of Skywalker and Last Jedi, all the interviews, did you also notice this too? There's actually a lot of interesting things about it. They only did the press releases and stuff 2 weeks prior to the release of the movie. Did you know that? It wasn't far away from the release to build hype. Because that they didn't have a good product. How good it could have been of a product, because of all the mishaps, the ridiculous idea of having multiple directors. I don't know why anyone thought that was a good idea. It was ridiculously stupid.
Well, even the original trilogy, it had multiple directors. It wasn't always the same.
Yeah,
but it turned out amazingly. But that's also because George Lucas was.
See, I was about to say that. I completely agree with you. I agree with you. Maybe I will. Maybe it is okay to have different directors get different points of view and different types of way of looking at a movie.
I think you have more creativity that way, where you can have multiple directors, so that can be a good thing. But then again, it could be the bane of your existence whenever you have two completely different ideas running back and forth with each other, like the way Rian Johnson did with what's his face? What was that guy's name? Yeah, JJ. I couldn't think of what his name was, but yeah, it's that exact same thing. It was two completely different directors taking two completely different leads. And I'm sure Kathleen Kennedy had something to do with it as well.
Oh, Kathleen Kennedy had a lot of things to do with it. She had something to do with the Obi-Wan series getting pushed back. Everyone's like, well, maybe it will get better. No. Every time Kathleen Kennedy touches, every time you touch something with Kathleen Kennedy's hands, the world burns, and that's exactly what's been going on.
It develops typhoid.
Yeah, it's bad. So as of right now, they're going through, and not trying to put words in anyone else's mouths right now, but I need to look at these videos just so I get a lot more information about what's going on. But I would not be surprised to see a complete retcon of the movies that came out and a better telling of it. Does that mean like we'll get new movies and like they'll redo it? Or are we going to get like some? I don't know. I have a lot of high hope with it, because if they can get the same actors, look, I'm just going to say right now, do not release or have these movies that are considered a new trilogy that are shit, and keep them there as shit when you know that you can go out of your way and fix them.
I just don't think, as much as I would like for the cast to come back, I don't think they're willing to, and I don't think that Disney...
And why do you think that is?
Well, it's just because I think they know what kind of happened with like the movies and the product.
They know what happened because it was
a combination of different things. Because yeah, it was bad because of the way that they took the series, but also think about the way the actress that played Rose Tico, how she was practically destroyed for her character when she had she had nothing to do with it other than being casted as it and playing the exact same way, which is the exact same way that they treated Hayden Christensen and the same way that they treated Jake Lloyd, just for playing the character.
A lot of shit that came her way, which I did think was very unfair to her. I saw some
that was
borderline. Not even borderline. It was probably some racist shit going on.
I will say this.
I don't usually like to delve into that too much. No. She caught some very unfair.
I think I will say this, and I'll be honest. I hated her character. Was it her fault? No, it was not her fault. And now I never went out of my way to like attack anybody or talk crap about her or any form like that. If I ever thought I just did not like the way like her character was. I thought her character was ultimately pointless and tried to do something that failed.
And I think probably even when she was reading the script, she probably went, "Oh fuck, this isn't what I signed up for." I guarantee she probably went
hashtag Mark Hamill. Hashtag Mark Hamill.
Gosh. I'm sure even somebody like even with Adam Driver with Kylo, like I'm sure that he probably read some of those scenes and was just like, I'm positive this doesn't make any sense.
Okay, I think that we can all agree that Force Awakens was a good movie.
Yeah, I think if they are wanting to redo the movies, I don't think they will, but if they ever do it, I think you can keep Episode 7 the way it is. Don't change anything for Episode 7.
No, I agree. Yes.
Maybe do like a CG Luke, Han, and Leia reunion for the 7th movie.
See,
have Carrie Fisher with a CG and do that. But
honestly, I think they should play off of that. Look, that is the biggest tragedy that's ever happened. Mm-hmm. Was knowing that those three. We talked about this in our last couch conversation. Knowing that like they'll never get a reunion ever, and like maybe that would be cool to see that. But like I think
because we all know like Mark Hamill's view on it. He's been very vocal about it. The one person who hasn't has been Harrison Ford, and I'm sure
he doesn't care.
Not too tickled.
He doesn't care.
I'm sure though that when he if somebody told him that and he recognized that, I'm sure he felt some kind of way about that because yes, he doesn't like the Han Solo character. He never really has, and he wanted him to die in the 5th movie, and but like it's. I'm sure if you probably asked him point blank, hey, did it suck that you, Carrie, and Mark didn't get a scene together? He'll probably say, yeah, sure, I would have loved it.
I think he hides behind that facade. He did on all the talk shows about how much money he was getting. I think he hid behind that, and like he's the type of guy that like he's not going to create a controversy. He's not going to speak his mind, or he's the guy. Mark Hamill. Well, I feel like I'm like a lot like Mark Hamill in a way, because like if I feel like there's an injustice being done, I will tell you to your face. I will tell for instance, working at Olive Garden one day, and I was a busser. That's a real humbling job, I'll tell you what. And one of the other bussers wasn't doing his work at all. He was just talking on his phone, like not helping at all. I was one manning all the stations. I went up to my boss and said, I expect to get paid more than he does. That sounds horrible for me to say that. I know, but like I don't like it when like injustice and stuff goes on. And Mark Hamill, if you noticed, Mark Hamill went from hating it to like saying a lot of stuff on Twitter and like just raging about it. Then he stopped talking about it because I think that his contract was like he would have gotten in trouble if he kept going.
Yeah.
And then, like, after the time frame went by to where he can speak his mind, he started speaking his mind again. So did Daisy Ridley. So did the guy who played Poe.
John
so did,
Boyega.
and John Boyega. And so did is that the guy who played Poe, or that's Finn?
No, the guy Oscar Isaac.
Yeah, they started speaking their minds, and that's why they're like, hey, if Disney Plus wanted to do a series, then would you do it? They said nope. And the reason why they said nope, I feel like it's because of Kathleen Kennedy. I straight up think it's because of her.
A very misused set of actor skills. Oscar Isaac is a phenomenal actor.
He's great.
You've actually seen some of his other stuff. X-Men Apocalypse. He played fucking Apocalypse. He was in Deus Ex Machina. Or no,
I didn't know
Ex
that.
Machina.
Okay,
Just Ex Machina. Fantastic movie. If you haven't seen it, it's fantastic. And actually, my buddy that lives up in Nashville, he got me into finally watch it, and it's amazing. But a bunch of other shit that he's been in that just when I went back and watched episode I think it was 7 or 8 with one of my buddies from Nashville, and we just went back and watched it, and I was just like, man, he really did get underutilized here. His character looked really good, like he had a reason to fight the Empire from the very beginning of episode 7, like all this sort of shit that his character could have been, because people were like, oh, he's going to be the next Han Solo. No, he actually had more at stake in the movie than Han Solo ever did.
Yeah, I don't know. I play it to the fact that it was poor directing, and if you had George Lucas, who actually has regretted, who regretted what he selling the Star Wars license, because there's a lot of great things that he was about to do with it. I don't know why he did it. Maybe because they were under financial distress or whatever. I don't know.
I don't even think that. I think it was probably just he probably. What I think it was is that he probably said, you know what? I made 6 movies. I created a great, ginormous franchise. There's no way anybody could possibly fuck this up. Because it's
hold my beer.
Yeah, the universe is so vast that you can do anything with it. I trust people who would come after me to like carry on the torch of Star Wars. But I think the reason he's saying that, as time went on, and I think he saw what was hamining with it, he was like, oh no.
He is literally seeing his baby that he was there at its conception.
Yeah,
just like Mark Hamill has a right to feel the way he feels.
Yeah.
I cannot stand it when people are like, well, he's not a director. No. He was there at the beginning. All the actors that were there that made a product make it great have every right to speak their mind, and the directors should listen to what they have to say.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, well, Luke Skywalker, I'm sorry, whoever may agree with this. If y'all agree with it, that's fine. I 110% disagree with it, and I think it's not true at all. They said that Luke's character was justified in how he became a hermit. No. That's not Luke Skywalker.
You're telling me the guy that turned Darth Vader to a good guy would somehow turn to the dark side and try to kill his nephew?
No.
Yeah. It
No.
doesn't make any sense.
What the fuck?
It's terrible because you made Luke Skywalker this like and then you made him suck a freaking animal's teat and drink like this nasty milk on like they literally just like spat on his face, and that was the scene. And it's ridiculous. It hurts to see.
Yeah.
So
like James Earl Jones got better treatment than Mark Hamill.
I just don't. The last thing I want to say is this.
He was in a good movie.
I think that if they're going to, they're retconning it right now, and I think we have a lot of things to be excited about. And I'm hoping that in these next couple years that Disney releases their rights to EA for Star Wars games, and George Lucas kind of gets back into the games. Because I don't know if y'all knew this, but George Lucas, over every Star Wars product or video game, he had final say in complete creative direction. Like if he did not like something, he would change it. And that's why you have some of the best Star Wars games, like Battlefront. You have the Knights of the Republic. Because I think Force Unleashed is a fantastic game. And if people disagree with that, that's totally fine. But like for the time, it was amazing.
It was much better for the first one than it was the second one.
I agree.
It was way too short, and it was just redundant.
It was stupid.
It was a great game that could have been built upon with, say, the likes of the Darth Maul game that was in development at the time of the transaction to trade over to Disney.
Yeah.
So,
I
mean,
just-
we had
yeah.
something good going there because it was going to be basically the same, or not the same game, but you was going to get to play as one of the best characters that was very much underutilized in the original trilogy with just
Yes, I agree.
or in the first three movies because I mean he dies off so quick, and it was the Clone Wars that brought him back and made him such a good and unique character.
Yes,
Yeah.
I completely agree. And everyone's like, I don't know how I felt getting bringing Maul back. No, Maul was like one of the best parts about the Clone Wars. How they brought him back. Like when he fights the Emperor. I'm going to say this too. I think that Starkiller being the reason why the rebellion was formed was a genius idea.
Yeah.
It was a genius idea. It would have gave. Oh my God! It just makes sense. It makes perfect sense.
It's actually more of a shame that he's not canon. That's actually more of a
$10.
shame.
$10. I think that's going to change. I feel like because right
I
now
hope so.
you still don't understand why. Because think about it. If George Lucas is back at the head, or he's not the head, but like there's another guy from Disney that's taking control of Kathleen Kennedy's job, and she's fired. And like, I think the one person that knows what's best for Star Wars is the guy who created Star Wars.
Yeah.
Just saying.
So I mean, whether or not Gale Merritt becomes like the actual thing, that's not even like I wouldn't intentionally care if they do make him canon or not. I just want to see just some some more bigger, better stuff for the franchise. I want
do a movie, a live action movie of The Force Unleashed.
yeah, because Sam Witwer, I'm sure, would be way willing to do that.
For sure.
They used his face for the motion capture and everything. I mean, his face is his face on the game. So
I guarantee if they did a movie like that, and it's actually canon of how the rebellion started, and they can do one movie or they can do a series on it, which that would be actually really cool if they did a series on it. Even if it's like an anime styled series, that'd be really cool.
Because he already does voice acting for he voices Darth Maul in the Clone Wars.
Yeah,
Right.
I just think that I agree with Evan about kind of distancing yourself from the Skywalkers, because I feel like some of the best games were not about the Skywalkers. I will say Revenge of the Sith was that's one of the best movie games ever made, other than Spider-Man 2. Just saying, I remember getting that game as a kid and I was just gushing over it.
I got hooked on that real quick.
I just hope that they can expand on the expanded universe as well. That's just something there's so much potential there. There's so much.
It's just like
it's endless.
The problem I've had with Star Wars, I feel like, is the same problem I've had with Mass Effect, and how they Mass Effect is such a big universe and has so many interesting races. The background for each of them, what happened during the First Contact War and stuff like that with the Turians and the humans.
Yeah, so cool.
All that lore and history that's just kind of just there already. And do a Mass Effect game on the First Contact War.
I think that would be really cool.
Why the fuck not? I mean, people would probably say, well, you'd just be fighting the Turians over and over again. Probably not, because the universe is so fucking big that you could
add so much more lore, and you could be
because the Reapers are still active at this time.
You could be like a Spec Ops force that's fighting the Turians, and think about it, because the PT, the Mass Effect series is a series that at some point you need to play. Oh my gosh. It is amazing.
That's just something I never knew about to really get going with, so I never played it.
No, you're good. I remember my buddy let me borrow the game, and I remember just playing it hours because
it would be Mass Effect is what Star Wars would have been if they tried to make it more realistic.
I say this: Mass Effect is a combination of Star Wars and Star Trek, and it's the best of everything of both of those.
It's the best of both worlds, for that. Yeah.
Because there's a lot of good war going on, the story's there, a lot of mythos in Star Wars, and then for Star Trek you have one of
them's almost borderline a Jedi, and with Samara, and how she was the Asari Judicar or whatever.
Oh, the Justicar or whatever.
Yeah, she basically has force powers. She has force powers. Let's not fuck around.
Freaking my favorite. If I would romance anybody, it'd be Liara. At first, I was Ashley all the way, but then if you play through all the games, and then at the very end, Liara is just such a wholesome person, and it's great. Or Miranda. God, rip Miranda.
Yeah.
I freaking loved Miranda. See, PT, once you play this game, oh my, we need to do our own little video on it just to talk about the Mass Effect series.
And plus, I mean, it's one of the things where you basically get to make your own trilogy, which is really unique about the game because whatever
so
you do
awesome.
in the first game will carry over to the second game, which will carry over to the third game.
These are the same people that made, this is from BioWare, PT, and there's the people that made Dragon Age Inquisition. And the Dragon Age games, so the same company. They like to do that where like one game, you customize your character like the way you want him to look, and you can even update his face if you want, which is really cool too. Through each new installment, there's good DLC. Some of them on Mass Effect 3 were kind of crappy, but like there was one DLC where you can you go. It's like Shepard, not Shepard. Who was the leader fighting for the Resistance on Earth? The Black dude. Shepard. Like, he's like,
it's
hey,
the same guy from Modern Warfare 2. It's Sergeant Foley.
Yeah, he's like, Shepard. I know that we're all dying down here and stuff, and we're really struggling. But here's my apartment key. Go have a nice little filler episode with your bros and and the girls. And go just have a fun time. You can have a party
that was a anime filler. That is like full on Mass Effect anime filler.
And there's a pull up contest you can do against Vega, and he was just like, you have to press the button like 100 times and you get an achievement. That's
side note, completely unrelated, but I'm so glad that they had Keith David do Spawn's voice for the DLC. For,
that was good.
11. I love that so much. Anytime Keith David's in a fucking video game, it's a win. Just like how anytime you hear like Nolan North or Troy Baker, Liam O'Brien, John DiMaggio, like all those guys. Anytime you hear Laura Bailey, like anytime you hear those people, it's awesome. But anyway, the other thing is kind of my own news, because I'm going to steal it here for a little bit. So there's a new Kingdom Hearts game that got released that nobody even heard about because it was supposed to be a story about young Xehanort, and everybody was getting really excited because they're like, oh, it's going to be another game that they're going to release, and nobody knew they were working on it. It's a fucking mobile game.
I didn't know what you expected, to be honest, this Kingdom Hearts.
It's a mobile game.
I don't know. I honestly didn't know what you expected with that. I kind of figured.
It's a mobile game, and the story's all over the place, apparently. Apparently it fucks up some of the story from...
There's a new Nier Automata game that's like mobile, too. What the crap is going on?
Oh my God, Square, what are you doing?
Yeah, no one plays mobile. I want to see statistics on people who actually play those mobile games. And I guarantee you they're not going to be nearly as high.
Millions of people are playing. Bullshit.
See, that's another thing that I hate about Bethesda's response. It was like, we're sorry, but hey, a lot of people are still playing the game. Like,
millions of people are playing. You can kiss, like they literally said, all right, if you guys don't like the game, what you can do, you pick a number, you go online, and you go to www.kissmyass.com. And basically, that's what they told everybody at their little press release thing they did online. It's just like...
I kind of want to make a Hitler reference, but I don't think it's going to really hit. But basically, it's like, hey guys, I know we were kind of racist, we did some terrible things, but we did help with crowd control on the planet.
Hey, we built the Autobahn.
That's terrible.
The Autobahn.
Anywho, moving on. But yeah, no, it's terrible. I'm not trying to compare those two tragedies, but Jesus. Andy, that's terrible. I'm so sorry. But I think that there's a lot of cool things to be excited for, and hopefully we are past the dark ages of Star Wars, because I feel like I can't remember what's more dark. Is it the dark ages where we had no Star Wars games or movies for all those years, or is it the dark ages that we got it and they were trash?
Oh, it's this, because I would have rather had no games than the last one that came out be good versus the absolute just crap that we got here.
I'll never forget seeing that first Battlefront trailer, and I was so excited, and then we just got dicked on. I will never forget that. That was so enraging.
To exist.
Oh God. But
That was before the time of fast internet for me, so I never even got it. I didn't even know of the all the stuff that was happening with them whenever that first game came out.
oh, you lucky son of a gun, because I had buddies that actually paid the $120 edition. They were like, I feel like I was robbed.
Oh.
And I was like,
Yeah.
because you were. You willingly
So
bought a game.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Did you know, PT, that like for the first Star Wars Battlefront game, that like if you pre-ordered it, you got Han Solo's blaster that could literally blow up AT-ATs faster than the regular guns?
Yeah, it did as much damage as an anti-tank weapon, and it fired twice as fast.
Yeah, so you literally had broken Empire players and then terrible Rebel players because they didn't have any of the upgradable skills to be able to use like all the different power-ups.
Yep.
Which the stupid tokens were the dumbest idea. God. But I like the point system better with the new one. But then again, how about just don't do that?
Why don't you just do a fucking class system? Why don't you just do that?
Well, they did do a class system, but it wasn't very good.
They
Because there was
stuck with
they didn't have like. They had those turret things here and there across the map, but no one uses the turrets because you can get sniped on it in like 1 second.
That's a welcome to Battlefront headshot.
Yeah. Part of me kind of wants to re-download Battlefront just to see all the new updates. There's a new Scarif update where they're actually bringing in the heroes from Rogue One. And they're doing like the Shore Trooper skin for the Stormtrooper, which is honestly, that's really cool. I love the Shore Trooper.
What if for the heroes for Rogue One, they just have the overpowered Darth Vader? They just have a 2,000 health Darth Vader.
They're also adding a lot more cosmetics for all the Sith heroes and a lot of other heroes as well. So I do think that we should download it again, and just so we can give a new impression of the new update when it comes out. That's just me. Because I think that we, as reviewers and as critiquers of video games, that we should be current on the new Star Wars stuff, because Star Wars is our baby. I'm not saying we have to play it religiously. I just do think that we need to take a look at it and look at all the new updates.
Time to delete the last 8 games I played.
Yeah, I know, but I do think that it's going to be needed, because I think that because they've changed a lot of how this stuff works. Because I remember the three of us were playing, we would be ARC Troopers and Republic Commando. I never forget the Republic Commando skins came out, and it's like y'all two came up like, yeah, look at our camo. I'm like, hey guys, my white and yellow Republic.
Yeah.
It's like, you suck. I'm like, shut up. But then the ARC Trooper skins came out, which is really cool. The ARC Trooper is completely different now. Like, you can't rapid fire shoot anymore, where you can delete people in seconds like I used to.
That's probably for the best, honestly.
Hey, you're right. But I'll never forget the how I used to destroy. Dude, I'll never forget. I made an Obi-Wan Kenobi player rage quit when I was playing as a commando droid. I kept dodging out of his way. He couldn't hit me, and he just disconnected from the game. But you know, I do want to check it out and just see, because they've added like on the co-op, I think they've added the tanks in it and the more heroes and stuff. So I'm just interested in the Rebellion and all the other eras to the co-op, which is nice, because all it was just freaking Republic era, the Clone War era, which I kind of was getting tired of, but it was still fun. I loved Felucia, honestly. That was a fun map to do co-op on. It was ridiculously hard, because at one point it was ridiculously easy. Then like, okay, we're going to upgrade our bots to be auto aim shooters, and just you get deleted every 5 seconds. Yeah. But anywho, I can't really think of anything else to talk about. What about you guys?
Let's see.
It's honestly amazing. It's honestly amazing how long we can just kind of get lost talking about good stuff like this. Yeah. It's I always enjoy our couch conversations. We'll probably have another one here. We'll probably have another one here soon. Probably another one next month when I move into my new apartment. Everyone's gonna get together. This will be really fun. But yeah, guys, if you like the video, it would be amazing if y'all could like the video, comment, and maybe subscribe if you think that it warrants it. We try to have a good time here on the Professor Die Hard channel, as well as ARES Gaming Productions channel as well. We like to cover a vast different, and one day PT's going to have his own YouTube channel. I already know it's going to happen. One day, because I think I'm just going to say this on the stream. One thing, also, happy birthday to my brother. Happy birthday. Also, I think that PT, you really impressed me with going into the news and quoting what you were talking about. I think that's really cool, because that shows that you're really passionate about talking about stuff.
Yeah,
So,
I would rather be honest about everything and be able to cite my sources. And I hate when people just say, "Oh, I heard this." Like, where did you hear that from? Is it even true? Should I even
No
pay
one
attention to
cares
what you're
about your
saying?
anecdotal testimonies.
Exactly. So
yeah.
I would rather know for sure. Like, okay, this is if I actually had a streaming channel.
No, absolutely. No, absolutely. Guys. But again, if you want to subscribe, you should definitely do that and be a part of the Die Hard channel. Go check out ARES Gaming Productions, and we'll get back to you guys on the flip side at some point. Deuces.